Hi, this is the 10-minute chess lesson. I'm Derek, and we're going to go over tactics. This is designed for the people that I'll be playing with on Saturday at the library. We meet at the library at 11:30 on Saturdays. Let's see, it's McNichols and the John C. Lodge. The what's the name of it? Hubble Library, Detroit Public Library. I think it's Hubble branch of the library. In any case, we are usually there from 11:30 to 2 o'clock every Saturday except the third Saturday, in which case they have, I believe it's a book club meeting. Doesn't matter what type of meeting they're having, but we're not there. Also, many of the players in Detroit gather at the McDonald's on 8 Mile and Woodward on Saturdays, starting at about 12 o'clock. So those are two convenient places to play on Saturdays. More importantly is how you prepare to learn chess and improve your skill level. When you're actually in competition, be it formal competition or just casual playing your friends, you're not really trying to improve. You're demonstrating the skills that you have already acquired. Oh, excuse my hat. It's very cold in here because they don't like to turn the heat up, and it's 20 degrees below zero outside. So it's like 30 degrees in the house. But in any case, let's move on. Today is a 10-minute chess lesson on tactics. And it's not really to show you tactics, but to hopefully inform you of the tools that you need and the value of time spent on your tactical ability and improving that ability. You can always improve. So, first of all, you need a tactical resource. Back in my day, 30 years ago, we always had books on tactics. My favorite book was 1001 Sacrifices and a bunch of other words behind it. I forget what it is. But that was a book. You know, you wrote in your book, the pages fell out, and it's worn out over the years. I actually still have it around here somewhere. Or maybe I just recently threw it out because it was falling apart. And now you can have that book and 100 other books right on your phone in your pocket with you all the time. I believe the best approach to your tactical play is just an app for your phone. And your phone is with you, unfortunately, all the time. Any amount of time that you have to practice, you can practice. You can practice your tactics. Just pull your phone out and go through the process. The one that I have in mind is CT Art 4.0. You know, anyone would do, but that's the one that I like, and that's the one that I actually use. CT Art 4.0, what it does is it gives you, you can group them by theory or you can group them by level of difficulty. I like to use level of difficulty. It goes from 10 to like 110 different levels. So the way you use it to have it is enough. You aren't going to improve just having it on your phone and that phone sitting in your pocket. You have to actually pull it out. And especially for the beginner, you go through the level 10s. You might get half of them wrong. You might get 75% of them wrong. But then you go through it again and again and again till you can get all of them correct. You may not know the reason why the moves are correct. You would need someone else to help guide you through that. Or you get a book. The book should not be one that approaches examples of tactics, but that explains the different types of tactics that you would look for. Practicing the tactics gives you a natural ability to find them. Your brain will adjust, it will rewire itself, and you'll be able to see those tactics once you've practiced them adequately. The book will speed up that process. It'll tell you what to look for. Now, my own approach and what to look for is a process. First, you look at the Safety of your king. Is your king safe? Are the pawns surrounding the king, are they still in their original squares? How's your opponent's king? Is his king safe? Are the pawns surrounding him on their original squares? Does he have piece protection? Does your king have piece protection? Once you evaluate that, if your king is safe and his king is weak, then you know that if you can grab the initiative, there's a good chance you can keep it. If your king is weak and his king is safe, then you know you got to do a lot of digging. Because even if you have a idea, you'll probably lose the initiative because your king is so exposed. But check for king safety first. Check your overall pawn structure. Whose structure is better? What open files are there available? What open diagonals are there available? Then you check the mobility and the opportunity to make threats against your opponent with your pieces. The first piece you start with is the one that is most mobile. If your queen is still on the board, you check your queen. How well is your queen working with the other pieces? Is your queen in a position to attack the king or to make a significant threat against other pieces of your opponent? Then you check how well the queen is working with the next most mobile piece. If your rooks are still on board, is it working well with your rooks? Bishops, knights, if they're still on board, is it working well with your bishops or your knights? And going down the line, the most mobile piece, you check it in relationship to your opponent's king and relationship to your own other pieces. After you've done that, if you have not found a significant threat that could turn into a winning tactic against your opponent, you check the pawns. Are your pawns in a position to strip the protection of the king? Are your pawns in a position to strip the protection of your opponent's other pieces? After you've gone through all that process, maybe there's no tactic there. Or maybe there's not a tactic that you can see on your current level of play, in which case the practice comes in. And those same things I've just talked about, you apply to your practice in trying to solve a tactical problem. As you grow in your tactical play, you will see your play on the board constantly improve. So what we're going to do is go over a few examples of very basic tactical problems and apply the same process. And hopefully it will help you in your future games. And remember, the most important thing you can do is practice your tactics. Get the resources that you need to practice those tactics on a daily basis. The person who practices his skills 3 hours a day is ultimately going to be able to defeat the person who only practices 30 minutes a day. Okay, let's look at some chess problems. Okay, let's see if we can find any useful combination here. Looking at the position, we look at our king. Our king looks reasonably safe. You determine the safety level of your king. Is he castled? A castled king is usually a lot safer than a king left in the center of the board. Are his pawns still on their original squares? That's usually a safer position than if your G pawn or H pawn or F pawn have actually been moved. And your pieces, are there any pieces near your king that can provide a defense for your king? Now, we're not going into the tactics. We're just trying to evaluate the safety level of the king to determine whether or not, if you gain the initiative, can you maintain it? You're also looking for, if you gain initiative and you have to wait a move, is your king still going to be safe? You look at your opponent's king. Is your opponent's king safe? His pawns are still on their original squares. He does have pieces nearby to help defend the king. Usually it's a better position to have that knight actually on F3 or F6, but this is a satisfactory defensive position for the black king, as well as this is a satisfactory defensive position for the white king. So now you look at your most valuable piece and see if they are coordinating with the other pieces. Here, your most valuable piece still on the board is the queen. That queen, in fact, is coordinating with the bishop on the long diagonal. And if the queen, getting into the tactics of the matter here, was able to take at g2, it would be checkmate, except that g2 is defended by the knight at e8. You look further, we have a level of coordination between the queen and the bishop. We know that the knight's defending. We look down, we see that our rook is attacking that knight. So there's a relationship between the queen, the bishop, and the rook. So if we go into the actual tactics of the position, again, removal of a guard, rook takes knight, queen takes rook, queen takes pawn, checkmate. Rook takes knight, rook takes rook, queen takes pawn, checkmate. Rook takes knight. Black does something totally unrelated, pushes up the h-pawn, you're a piece up. You can take off the rook if you want to, or you can still take your mate, or let's say you may actually move pushed up the pawn that prevents the mate, but you have still won a piece. So that would be a successful tactic. Let's see if we can play it out here. As soon as I find the mouse, there it was. There it is. Rook takes knight. And these aren't just puzzles. This actually happens in a game where you have the opportunity to remove a guard and be very successful.